from the All Indiana Podcast Network. It's Diversity Focus Today. Now, here's your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I'm your host, Ricky Solid Gold Clark, along with our co-host, attorney Mike Murray and Dr. T.
Hello.
Over there.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we are back, and we have a plate full of items and things and stories to talk about this morning. But before we do that, we want to give Mike Murray some time, because Mike not only is an attorney, but he's also a publisher. And tell us about all that, Mike, please.
Well, I'd be happy to. You know, attorneys, we kind of bill by the word, so I get to talk. So the company is called Cottage Publishing, and it was traditionally a children's literature publisher, but it's kind of grown up a little bit and publishes a wide variety of things, from fiction to science fiction and young adult and poetry on some occasions. But we're at thecricketpublishing.com, and you know what we strive to do is entertain, educate, inform, and impact. That's kind of our tagline. So we're focused on getting particularly underserved populations, veterans, first responders, women writers, and people who really want to get a message out. We believe that, you know, everybody has a story to tell. And a lot of times people think that, you know, they're just nobody. They don't have, you know, the clout to talk to people and write a book, but everybody's got a story to tell. You can learn something from everyone. And so we want to inspire people to get their creative juices flowing, and tell their stories, communicate their messages, and we'll help you do that. We have talented editors, co-writers, Dr. T, for example.
Ghostwriter, yeah.
People who can help you get that message out. And that's what we're all about, Ricky.
Now, how would one contact you to get further information, or to say, hey, I've written this book or this book of poetry or a manuscript? You know, how would we reach out to you?
Well, I think the easiest way is to go to the website, thecricketpublishing.com, and reach out through there, or you can call a phone number, 463-320-6127.
You got to slow it down, Mike, because folks be trying to write. So slow it down if you may, please.
More words I get to speak, right?
Yes.
463-320-6127, or thecricketpublishing.com.
Okay. I want to make sure that we get that information in there for our talented co-host, Dr. Tami. Of course, you do so many, Dr. T.
Oh, you keep saying it.
Yeah, I know. I have to ask, what are you working on today or at this hour? Because you be working on so many different things throughout the day, so I can't keep up with everything.
I piggyback, I guess, from what Mike had mentioned with his publishing. So I had developed since a company called Uniquely You by Tami Harris, and what I offer is just that, providing clients an opportunity to express themselves in ways they can visualize but don't know how to express. So I do like branding, graphic logos, ghostwriting, because they maybe feel like I can't say it or express it.
Right.
Book illustrations, cover, anything like to help them get their ideas out. You know, I kind of help consult with that and develop branding, promoting. You know, through Black Expo, I do vendoring there. I get out in the cities and the vendoring opportunities for clients to promote them. I've done working on your book on the side. That's to come.
Which we're going to publish.
Which you're going to publish.
Which Mike is going to publish.
All the love, you know. And then I've been working with Hidden Gems by LG. He'll be here to explain a little bit more about his book and his poetry, because he works with youth and kids that's on probation. So that's an opportunity to show how he uses his poetry and spoken word to help them. And we also have an opportunity working with the prosecutor's office with the Youth Pro Services program. So we have a few engagements there that I had kind of correlated for his book as well, in art therapy, which I spoke about in the previous episode.
Yeah, we've got some of those guests forthcoming in upcoming programs. Okay.
I'm excited about that. So Uniquely You by Tami Harris. I'm still developing different website for that, but you can reach me at 317. I'll say it slow.
Yes.
You're looking at me like say it slow and Teth apologize.
That's right.
Like say it slow. 317-426-8380. 317-426-8380. See, I know your words. I already know how you operate, Ricky.
It's been in the media business as long as I have, especially in the radio side. I mean, I used to get hammered. I was trying to get the information. You went too fast. You got to slow it down. You can't write that fast. You got to say it 3 and 4 times. And and if you're doing a commercial, certainly the rule of thumb is you want to mention the address and the phone number and the location at least 3 times in your commercial, especially if it's a 60. That way you keep the clients happy.
Yeah.
So I got a few more times I got to say my stuff.
Yeah, you do. We'll give you that opportunity later on in the program. We want to make sure that everything is hoorah. Okay, last week we talked about a number of things, but see, I get some of my church members and other folks, my frats and so on, what have you, who are now watching the program. And so they say, hey, why don't you go? Yes.
Viewership went up the third show. Keep it up.
That's right.
And sponsors. Yay.
Yeah, we do need sponsors, and we'll give you that number on that to call us or go to Facebook. We want to certainly do that. But one of the categories they wish for us to talk further about was dealing with small and minority businesses and how that maybe the tariffs are affecting them, as we talked about it prior to going on the air. So you guys got any comments? I mean, the comments that I have found from some of my small business friends and associates is that, they started buying in bulk. Some of them had not been buying in bulk, trying to do it before, and a lot of them buy from China. And so they're really concerned because they don't want to lose their customer base, but they're afraid that if they increase the price too much, in fact, they're trying not to increase the price, trying to, eat it themselves, how long they can do that. Do you guys have any idea as to what we need to tell them about that?
Tell the consumers?
No, tell the business
owners.
Yes. Yes. What can they do, to make this deal that the President of the United States, oh my God, is pushing on everybody? And is he telling the truth? Because we know we can't even count how many times he speaks with forked tongue. He lies. So therefore,
he has a reputation for being the lyingest president that we've ever had.
So can you really can't, believe what he says. Every time he says something, I have to question it. Is that, chances
they call
are
it a walk back. Like now it's a lesser tariff on car manufacturing, right?
Well, walk back and, we made a mistake, so we're going to fix this. That top of the news this morning, I counted 7 walk backs.
And of course, there's the spin that
He
goes
gonna be
with
like
that
the
too.
Michael Jackson. I'm here. Walk backs and spins, right?
Yeah. So
put a spin on it to say, the president's giving some relief to the automakers. Well, I think it's a pretty good indication that it wasn't thought through in the beginning.
Right.
And it wasn't certainly done with the buy-in of the people who were going to be affected by it. So now that he's hearing negatively from the people who are running these businesses, then there's a change of policy.
To accommodate that.
Yeah, it just reflects that it was not very well thought out in the beginning and not well implemented.
So yeah, and it's just interesting we've been going car shopping over the past weekend, and just hearing the dealerships from the small, mom and pop shops to the Chevrolets and all. They have an overstock in used vehicles, but now they're running like $20,000+ because they have an overflow of, they have the overflow of people turning in their old vehicles to get the new vehicles before the tariff sits. Okay. So he was saying back then, when you could get like a 2018, 2017 car for maybe $15,000, it's $20,000 just in used vehicles, and they're overstocked. So then they're trying to say, well, buy a newer vehicle to get them all. So I'm seeing it just going car shopping with a friend of mine the past week. It's like, no matter which one we went to, the used cars was no less than like $20,000. Unless it had hundreds of thousands of miles for a lower year, earlier year. Mm-hmm. So I guess, like you said, they've been stockpiling, people turning in their cars to get the newer cars without having to pay higher tariffs later.
My sister did that. She bought a new Cadillac because she wanted to get it before the tariffs.
So she turned her old car in. See,
sure
that's
enough.
what we say. They
Exactly.
selling all these used cars, but for still higher prices that you would not have paid prior, for a used car. So
yeah, and that's
sad.
And knowing so many folks that are in the car industry, especially the various dealerships, April, May, and June are there, especially used cars, because people get their tax money.
Right.
And the bulk of tax comes.
No,
they're not buying. They're trying to figure out what to do. Okay, I got my tax money, but now how much are my food prices and my utilities and all these things are going to go up? So can I ride with this car for another year, or do I go ahead and splurge and try to get me a new car? And what you just said, maybe it's better or cheaper to get a new car compared to a used car.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're talking about these people who really can afford to go out and buy a new car. I know a significant number of people who got their tax returns and pocketed them because they don't know what's coming up. They're already kind of riding close to the budget, and with inflation scheduled to go up, with the cost of housing continuing to go up, people are pocketing that money for the rainy day fund.
Mm-hmm. And my daughter, we started in our garden. We planted our own vegetables, herbs, fruits, plants, because, go back to the basics pretty much, to preserve and not have to worry about, material things and produce, because you can technically do it on your own in some regard, right?
Well, we all know that we're in the midst of the unknown, so we just have to ride that out. The other thing that I want to bring to the table before we talk about business again is our local, our Governor Mike Braun, dealing with this property tax that was passed, and then the things that they stuck in there at the very last, within the last hour or two before they, ended the session, which was, giving the governor complete authority over Indiana University to pick the board of directors, the power to pick them and to fire
them before their terms.
Now that was one of those in the middle of the midnight hour that they stuck that in to get that done, and that's.
But does that have anything to do with the tax bill?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It's just something they rolled in because they figure everybody's concerned about the tax bill. So let's slide this other piece in there while they're thinking about that. One of the political games that they play.
Now they can control the
while
narrative.
they're not looking.
While they're not looking.
Let's get this done. And that kind of touches on a subject we started to talk about before, which was both on the federal and state level, where the executive is invading into the academic space and controlling, really controlling what academics do. They talk about it in terms of efficiency. And while I'm all in favor of looking at plans and programs, budgets and expenditures for new efficiencies, there's a difference between doing that and controlling and regulating even more. I mean, education is probably one of the highest regulated industries in the world, certainly in the country. But it's gone beyond that to the point where they are mandating what can and cannot be taught and who must be involved or not involved in the management. This whole assault on DEI has not only been in state and local and federal government, but it's in higher ed now too,
Yeah.
and local education, primary education, where they are saying you must take DEI out of your programming. There's a lot of research out there, Ricky, that talks about how education is much improved when you have a diverse crowd, a diverse student body, a diverse academic faculty that is teaching, because you're getting a much more rounded, a much more holistic view. The discussions are more robust. In law schools, they want they want students of various backgrounds and various disciplines, because when you get into those discussions and you have those debates, people come to those things with their backgrounds,
Right.
and having that diversity of experience and views makes for a much more robust, a much more thorough discussion and policy planning.
Yeah.
But I think that's not what they're really wanting. What their actions are telling us is, we want you to think, teach, and act the way we want you to act, which is how we think, do, and act.
Right. And they taken away from the African American Smithsonian,
Yeah.
museum.
Yeah.
I've heard that they've been returning donations,
Absolutely.
Bibles, books, artifacts that they felt was against the ideology of America.
Well, and not
So,
only with them,
what?
but they're
Yeah.
also doing the same to the Holocaust Museum.
Right. They just that with Kamala's husband, right? That just came out this
Yeah,
morning.
they fired everybody on that, and they want to, or I guess they will, take control of that.
And this is pure indoctrination. It's not education.
I wonder, like, when they took down the Confederate flag, do you think it's the same argument from their point of view? Like, y'all removed our Confederate flags from this and that and that. Do you think that's an equal kind of argument?
I think that's probably an argument that people of that ilk would
Yeah.
marshal for something like this. But I think there are distinct differences, because we are not taking out the fact that the Confederacy existed, or what they believed, what they stood for. We're not taking away knowledge of the Confederacy and those kinds of ideas. They are trying to eliminate, for example, black studies, black history
The teachings.
from the curriculum. It makes white people feel bad, I've heard, as part of the justification. But black history is history. Black history is U.S. history. What happened in the Holocaust, and of course, there are a sizable number of people that are even denying the existence of the Holocaust. But it happened. And if we don't look back and remember these things, they will happen again. There's an old adage that says, those who do not remember their history are doomed to repeat it. Don't quote me if I've misquoted it verbatim, but the idea is there, if you don't remember what happened and the mistakes that were made before, you are going to repeat those things. And, we're getting to the point where we've got young people coming up nowadays, and these are the people who are going to be our teachers, our governors, our presidents, our senators, our policymakers, our doctors, our nurses.
Exactly.
If they don't know this relevant history, that is fundamental knowledge that makes a difference, that will no longer be part of our thought process. It's a little scary to me. And I will even go and say, a lot of what's happening in this area is driving those diverse people away from the United States. There are a lot of reports going on right now that researchers, academics are looking for other homes than the United States. China is taking full advantage of the opportunity to recruit those researchers, those academics, those thought leaders. And let me tell you, we're not going to be making advances based on ideologies. We're going to make technological advances, social advances based on research, based on facts, based on science. And when those people who are doing those things leave us and go to China, go to Russia, go to Korea, those are the places that are going to benefit from those research activities. It will not be in the United States. That is a fundamental threat to our longevity, our fundamental threat to our security as a world leader.
No, that's not good.
It is not good.
That is not good.
Because Einstein came over here to help us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a real life pass.
That is
ideology
true.
of what happps when
and this is just
education
he's
and
just-
research comes.
on the political level. Trump is just now finishing his first 100 days, and you look back, the damages that has been done thus far in those
It's
100
great.
days.
It's great. What are you talking about?
You gotta let him tell it. It's
right,
great.
that's what I'm saying.
As he continues
it's great.
to lie. You look at the numbers,
great.
the statistics that they're, the surveys that they're doing, and his numbers are.
Across the board.
Well, no. He is now the worst president as far as the numbers are concerned, because we're the worst president, period, out there.
Right.
With all the
Across the
ratings, all
board,
the
even
surveys
Fox,
and-
everything.
Yeah, I mean, in every category, even his most powerful category that he said, oh, we're going to do this and do that, the American people are saying no to pretty much anything and everything that you've said. And half the country still don't believe. Well, I don't believe it. He's lied so many times, and I'm still getting. They're still running clips of his Secretary of Education, the young lady that's former chairman of WWF and WWE, and they were talking about AI, and she's saying, yeah, A1. I mean, a whole speech.
Right, and they kept trying to,
Yeah. And so all the memes are coming up, hey, our Secretary of Education, A1 sauce, A1 sauce, because she went and she just, I think they tried to nudge her, but she just continued on and saying, A1. Rather than AI. A1.
And you chuckle about it, and it really would be comical if the consequences weren't so serious.
Right.
Yeah.
This is serious business.
So, I mean, well, anyhow, we won't harbor much on that. We did the property tax. Again, I was going to mention about the newspaper, Indy Star, did the comparison on the lieutenant governor and the secretary of the Secretary of State? Yeah, about the vehicles. The Secretary of State went and got a $97,000 SUV.
Oh, yeah.
The Lieutenant Governor got an $87,000 SUV, complete with all the bells and whistles, and claimed that his car that he had the previous Lieutenant Governor's car, and which was a Chrysler Diango. Is that what? Yeah, SUV, and it's fine. They passed that down to the head of the prisons, I think it is, that's getting that, and I guess it did. It wasn't an accident maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, but the $3,500 worth of damage.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
so that's not much of anything. So they were harboring on that. So, I just want to remind you, this is where your tax money is going. That's between the two vehicles. That's almost $200,000 worth of vehicles that the Secretary of State, who's coming up for election next year, 2026, and of course the Lieutenant Governor, Michael Beckwith. So
And this is at the same time that they're cutting benefits to children who have special needs. They're cutting health care benefits. But our officials need to have these $100,000 vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Isn't the dealership that sold them the car contributed to their campaign?
I don't know.
So
They've got
much?
contracts with the state, so
Right.
perhaps I'm sure there was some money exchanged in contributions during the campaign.
And this is what makes people so cynical about politics and public servants. It's like people talk out of two sides of their mouths. They're talking about cutting costs and being efficient, but where they want to cut the cost is not in anything that affects them. They want to cut the costs in programs that affect you.
Yeah,
that
that's
affects
true.
somebody else. That whole NIMBY, not in my backyard kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to do this, but we need you to give up something, not me.
Right, unfortunate.
And you're absolutely correct. So I mean, they've got the vehicles. They're driving them even as we speak. So that's, there you go. There's your tax money, $100,000 vehicles that you see rolling around with all the bells and whistles that, our lieutenant governor, and I don't know what the governor is driving or what the state police is driving for the governor.
Right.
He has a chauffeur-driven state trooper that, drives for him, that
Awesome.
forms, it's part of his protection detail and so on, what have you. But certainly the lieutenant governor and the secretary of state with those brand spanking new vehicles. So, all right, anyway, we've got like about 2 minutes to go on this show. Boy, time goes fast when you're having fun.
When you're having a rant.
That's what my daughter would say. Should I share that, what my daughter said?
Yeah. Okay.
I was telling her, did you watch her show? She was like, I hear you all the time. It's like being a part of a conversation. I don't have a say. I said, but I'll watch it, Mom. I'll watch it. I was like, okay. And happy birthday. I know it'll be past, but today's her birthday. So.
Oh, happy birthday.
It's okay.
And
Kaya
it's past.
Caprice. Yeah.
Okay. Mike, you got anything as we narrow down to the end of the program?
Well, as we are recording this, we're at one day before Silver Service Banner Day, which is a national holiday that recognizes military members who have received the Silver Star for heroic service. By the time this is actually airing, I guess will be after that, but I certainly, as a military veteran, want to extend my thanks and recognition to other military members and veterans who have served the country.
Okay, well, great. Now, remember, if you want to make comments or questions and so on, what have you, you can go to our Facebook, Diversity Focus Today on Facebook, and give us your questions, comments, or whatever, good, bad, or ugly. And we would certainly appreciate them. And, of course, if you see us out in the street, by all means, whether it's at whatever, like I've been, been approached. So please do so, and, check us out. Let us know. Give us some ideas. Let us know how we're doing, all right? So I think we now need to wrap it up. So listen here. Thank you so much for watching Diversity Focus Today. I've been your host, Ricky Clark, along with Mike and Dr. T, and we are now out of here. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next time.